give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. John 5 and 39. Says, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that come from Elohim only? Let's slide over here to Job 34 and 7 again. Job 34 and 7. So we know that it says, what man is like Job, who drink up scorning like water. So remember that word is gavar for man, and that is a strong, valiant man who is able to fight. So what strong man is hated, who drink up scorning like water? So we're going to look at a little bit of that scorning. You know, the word for scorning again is lahag, and that's a mocking or derision. And then, okay, we got to remind y'all what the drink up. The drink up was shata, and that's the drinking of Elohim's wrath. So what we're going to begin to look at is the scorning and it being mocked. And we'll read Psalms 1 and 1 again and set the stage for that. So let's swing on around to Psalms 1 and 1. I got to figure out in my mind, I'm going to put all the direction I'm going to slide in. Because when you look at the word, a lot of times you're going to be mocked. And it takes a strong person to be able to deal with the mocking and the ridicule. Matter of fact, before you even read Psalms 1 and 1, 1 Peter chapter 2. Because a lot of people can't be able to take the ridicule. A lot of people are going to think a lot of things about you. They're going to say a lot of things about you. Some things to your face. And you have to be willing to take them. It doesn't mean that it's going to feel good while you're taking it. But you got to be willing to take it. 1 Peter 2 and 21. Or 2 and 20. For what esteem is it when you be buffeted for your faults, you shall take it patiently. But if when you do well and suffer for it, and you take it patiently, this is acceptable with Elohim. For even hereunto were you called, because Mashiach also suffered for us, leaving us an example that you should follow his steps. Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. Who, when he was reviled not again, and when he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him who judged righteously. So let's look at something in let me make sure what this is. Let me see if it's Romans chapter 1. That's what I'm thinking about. You know, when he say he reviled, you know, he didn't threaten. People said a lot of things about him, just out there in the third, and he didn't say anything back. Verse 1 to 28, he took that patiently, and a lot of times we don't want to take that patiently, because people gonna say things about you. Hold on, I got you, man. People gonna say things about you, and you got to understand that and know that. He said, even as they did not like to retain Elohim in their knowledge, Elohim gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, and whisperers. And there goes that thing when you're sitting about looking at whisperers. And we'll see what the Greek word for whisperers here, because that's going to go into what we kind of discussing to a certain extent. And I hate when this stinking phone be doing this. Here we go. I will not be able to pronounce that word for y'all if I dare try it. It doesn't want to cooperate right now at the present time either. I'll keep going till this. There we go. A whisperer is a secret slanderer or a detractor. And that word is surthurestus, A secret slanderer. Let's look at a secret slanderer. Let's go to Numbers chapter 12. And let's look at some secret slandering. Because you know what slander is? That is to state things that are not true. And it's not good to slander. You know, we'll tell you about that. It's definitely not good to slander. And we'll look at something in the law, Exodus 23, just for your memory to know about. It's not good to slander. Numbers 12 and 1. If I can get around there to it. Put me a holding spot to where we at. So y'all hold that Romans chapter 1. Go to Numbers 12 and 1. A lot of people feel that they don't have a problem with slandering people's names. Some people don't have a problem with actually believing slander. You know what I'm saying? Some people have no problem with doing that. It said, and Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman who he had married, for he married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, have Yahuwah indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken also by us? And Yahuwah heard it. So the reason why they sit back looking at it, they're slandering Moses for marrying this Ethiopian woman. They didn't say it to no one but amongst themselves. Well, clearly they could have said it to other people, but notice it said that Yah heard their slander because they were whispering. They didn't bring it out in the open. There's also the instances of them, you know, we could sit back and we could look at how they slandered Mashiach in private. Now let's look at something in Proverbs chapter 10. And then we'll pull the Hebrew word up for slander in this particular verse. It's Proverbs 10 and 18. Because slander is not a good thing. And I notice a lot of people have no problem doing it. Make it 10 about verse 16. It says, the labor of the righteous tend to life, the fruit of the wicked to sin. He is in the way of life that keep instruction, but he that refuse reproof err. He that hide hatred with lying lips, and he that utters slander is a fool. So he said you hide. That word hide is simply kasah, and it's to conceal or hide. It's very simple. But he said those that hide their hatred. And remember, it says Job is a hated man because he was strong. So they say, what strong man is hated? That drink up wrath and scorning like water. And we're going to look at some of those instances where we're going to see Job's friends straight out slander the man. Just straight out slander the man. Just straight out slander him, straight out lie on him. But notice it says that hatred with lying, that they hide hatred with lying lips. And the person who utters slander is a fool. Now the word is daba, and that's whispering, that's defamation, that's an evil report or unfavorable saying. So let's sit back and look at, before we look at Job, friends slandering him, let's look at where they slandered the master. Let's come over here to what I want, man. Probably what, Matthew chapter 9. Let's look where they slandered this man. And remember that he sit back and say that if they persecuted him, they're going to persecute you. So you have to be willing that people will lie on you. See, I'm going to tell you the difference is, right? And then we'll look at how they hid their hatred for him before we read this Exodus 23 with their lying lips. They showed how much, they tried to cover up how much they hated him. Remember, we ended on Wednesday in John 15 where it spoke about that because he had came and did the work that no other man did, now they hate him without a cause. They hate him for no reason. They don't really have a reason for their hatred. You know what I'm saying? Most people, and they'll help me frame my words correctly. You take somebody like Hamashiach. They already didn't like him. So they were looking for any reason to have anything to say about him because they already didn't like him. So you'll have people be building up a case against you to use this stuff against you later because they already don't like you. So they'll look for anything to have something evil to say about you. Now the difference is that notice that and we're going to look at it scripturally. Hold on. I don't even know who's this. So notice that hold on, y'all. Hold on. Somebody just tried to call. Somebody, I don't know who this is. I got an idea who this is. They just tried to call the line. They seeing their charges. So when it came time to deal with the master, all these people, they didn't want to slander this man while he was they didn't want to tell those lies on the man while he was standing right there to his face. Dang.
It's outside of your plan and will incur a 1 cent per minute charge if you
Hold on. That just threw me all off my screen.
the charge. Welcome, Victor. There are 4 participants in the conference. Please announce yourself.
All right, y'all. That junk just dropped. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Hello, that was your call, man. Your call had just dropped, man. It's showing me.
Okay.
Yeah, you good. So.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. So. When they had all these accusations against Amasha, and when it was time to stand up, they didn't want to speak what they had to say. Hello? Shalom. So they didn't want to slander the man while he was standing right there. They told all these lies about the man while he wasn't present. But while he was standing right there, nobody wanted to tell these lies. And you're going to see that when people bring an evil report against you and it be slander, that 99.9% of the time that they will not stand before you and present that slander. They will present that slander to other people. Most people are gullible enough to believe the slander without actually seeing if that report is true. Most of the time, because we either want to find evil in someone or believe evil about someone, or we just gullible just to believe whatever somebody's selling. Look at that. We're looking at Mark chapter 9. Matthew chapter 9. Let me make sure that's the right one. Nah, go to Mark chapter 3. That's even better. Mark chapter 3. About verse 21. It said, when his friends heard of it, they went out to lay hold on him, for they said, he is beside himself. And the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, he hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of devils cast he out devils. And he said unto him, and said unto him in parables, how can Hashatan cast out Hashatan? Now we're going to drop down about verse 28. Now the thing is, right now they openly slandered the man in front of everybody and told these people that he was a devil. Now we also know from John chapter 11 that they plotted and spoke against him in numerous spots, and that when they came together for their collusion on putting this man to death. You know what I'm saying? They say, you know, the Romans going to take a wild place a nation. All these people going to follow him. And then we're going to go back and look at Matthew 27 and see how they gathered all of these people to come slander this man. Because if you're a false witness, you're a slanderer. Do you know what I'm saying? I read this at a young age. I want to say 16 or 17 years old. In a book called Niggas to Gods Volume 2. And then in one of them chapters he stated, in order to make someone killable, you must assassinate their character first. You know what I'm saying? And this is what you notice if you look at it in a grand scale. This is why, because I think they just let the police officer that killed the dude Castile in Minnesota off. He just beat that case. And you know why he beat this case? And you know why the police can kill you and nobody cares? Because they have already made you killable by assassinating your character, by slandering your character, by slandering everything that you are and everything that you stand for. So that when other people see you, they don't see a human being, they see a brute beast. They see a person who cannot control themselves, that are strictly nothing but a thug and a criminal and a wild animal who will kill, rob, and steal and rape and all of this. The same way they're taking our women and say that they are loud, that they're over-sexualized, that they're whores, that they don't need a man. All these things. They don't raise their children. All these things that they done. Some things that we have openly promoted from the movies that we watch and the music that we listen to and the celebrities or athletes that we uphold to be popular. Even this is why some of the reasons why you pick the men that you pick or the women that you pick or the friends that you choose. This stuff can be subconscious. This is why it's subconscious that our women wear weave, or they wear blonde hair, or put blue contacts in their eyes, or change their diction when they speak. You know what I'm saying? Or the way that they move in order to fit into different socioeconomic groups, mainly upper mobile Caucasians, because you subconsciously are not satisfied with yourself because of the assassination of your character. So you can't kill, somebody can't come up and kill you if you're of a good report, because the people will be in an uproar. This is why so many times the scribes didn't lay their hands on Mashiach, because they say the people consider him to be a prophet. They know that a prophet ain't did no wrong, so it's going to be an uproar if we try to do something to him. They're not going to go for this. Oh, I got you, man. The call dropped. So when you turn around and you look at it, if we can assassinate your character, which you can see bit by bit through the Gospels, how they said certain things to assassinate his character, to slander his name, that when it came down to snatch him up and bring him before the people, that the people were with it. Because his character has already been destroyed. His name has already been cast as evil. You will not have any compassion or want or need to spare him. This is why people slander people, to make it easier for them to destroy the person that they're slandering. You know what I'm saying? Because I told you, if somebody's slandering you, then 99.9% of the time they will not stand up before you for whatever that they said. If someone is telling the truth, they will have no problem to stand right before your eyes and tell you that's what I said and this is why I said it and it's based off this, and they won't have no problem with that. Men, when they are slandering, will not stand for what they say out of their mouth because they know it's not true and it won't hold up under scrutiny and cross-examination. This is why the scribes did what they did, because they knew that this was not going to stand up under scrutiny. Nevertheless, let's say in verse 28, he say, truly I say unto you, all sins shall be forgiven unto sons of men, unto the sons of men, and blasphemies whereversoever they shall blaspheme. But he that shall blaspheme against the Ruach HaKadosh have no forgiveness, but is in danger of eternal damnation. So basically what he's telling you, you can be forgiven for any lie or slander or evil report that you bring up on Yahuwah. One of the first places you can see where they brought a slander is they slandered the land. Let's look at that, I want to say. Numbers 13. Let's look at that, where they slandered the land. Because in slandering the land, you slandering Yahuwah. They don't realize that, because this is the land that Yahuwah promised, that said that he said it was a land of milk and honey and a good land, and these people slandered this land. Let me make sure it is number 13. Numbers 13. Pick it about verse 27. 27. We'll actually need numbers 14, but let's go to number 14 because we're short on time. I got a lot. I can't do no extra stuff. 34 and about 32. Matter of fact, make it 14 and 29. I said 30. I don't know why I said 30. 14 and 29. Numbers 14 and 29. Now, notice this is coming up out of Proverbs. Remember, we dealing with a man who was a man like Job that drink up scorning like water, or ridicule, or slander, or derision. So it means being lied on, or being mocked, or laughed at. It says strong, because that word for man is not Adam, it's not Ish, it's Gavar. This means it's a strong, valiant man with the ability to fight. Which means if you're a strong, valiant man with the ability to fight, as we mentioned on Wednesday, that means you got kokma, you have wisdom. You have the skill in battle and for war. Therefore, because you have this skill in battle and for war, you will be hated. And because you are hated, then you will drink up the wrath of Elohim, or drink that cup. And this will cause you to be mocked. It will cause you to be ridiculed. And it will cause you to be hated. And when you drink this cup, this will cause the Ma'im, or the waters, or violence to come to your front door. And this will deal with another instance when we look at something that the Master stated with the prophet John. The Baptist, that is. 14:29. Your carcass shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. Doubtless you shall not come into the land concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, save Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Yahushua the son of Nun. But your little ones, which you said shall be a prey, them will I bring in, and you shall know the land which you have, and they shall know the land which you have despised. But as for you, your carcasses, they shall fall in this wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms, until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness. And after the number of days in which you search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall you bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and you shall know my breach of promise. I, you who have said, and I will surely do it unto all this evil congregation that are gathered together against me in this wilderness. They shall be consumed, and there they shall die. And the men which Moses sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation to murmur against him by bringing up a slander upon the land. Even those men that did bring up the evil report upon the land died by the plague before Yahuwah. So again, the guy is saying slander is an evil report, or speaking evil of someone. See, let's sit back and look at something that Paul stated. Paul stated not to speak evil of any man, or basically don't slander anyone. Because if you have to speak the truth of a man's actions, and the man's actions be evil, then therefore you haven't spoken any evil upon this man. All you have stated that the fact that the person's actions are evil and they are wicked, and that they therefore should repent. But if you're speaking of things of slander or of evil report that don't have any basis in fact, or that's just how you feel, or that's your emotions, then scripturally you need to keep those things to yourself. Reason being, Proverbs chapter 30. I think I read this to y'all the other day, but we'll read it again. It might be Proverbs 31. And then we'll read Exodus 23. It's 30 and 32. And it just says, if thou hast done foolishly in lifting up thyself, or if thou hast thought evil, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. So if you're thinking about slandering someone, put your hand over your mouth, or keep your mouth closed. Because, as we used to say back in the day, man, I forgot the first person who ever said this in my presence. But that's why you hear me say it from time to time. It's your lie. You can tell it how you want to tell it. You know what I'm saying? Some people lies is their whole life, and they live it how they want to live it. Do you know what I'm saying? You can live your life in a lie if that's what you choose to do. You know what I'm saying? You could tell a lie, and you could tell it however you want to tell it. But whatever you say out your mouth, you got to understand and know it better be able to stand the scrutiny of the test that it is factual and truthful. And this is why a lot of people do not like face-to-face confrontations, when their words have to be cross-examined on what they said about a matter or about another person. Exodus chapter 23. That's why the people, the scribes and Pharisees ain't really want no cross-examination on what they were trying to do to Hamashiach, because they knew that it wouldn't stand up. You know, we could look at all the places, and we're going to look at all these places. Now, I got to get 2 more witnesses. We looked at one where they called him a devil, and we got to look at other places where they continuously slandered this man to set it up to make him killable. They continuously brought an evil report on this man to make him killable. 23:1, Exodus 23:1. He said, thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thy hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. Neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. Look at what this thing said you shouldn't do. That you should not raise a false report, nor put your hands with the wicked to be a slanderer with them. So let's put this in modern terms so you can understand. You should not repeat evil that someone has spoken of another person if you do not know what you're talking about, because now you have raised a false report and put your hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. Because and to mention this like this here, because we don't realize this is what the scribes and Pharisees did. They hated the Mashiach, so they raised so many false reports against the man to cause the people not to like the man, the people not knowing if the stuff was true. If the people already had thoughts in their mind about Yahushua HaMashiach, the false reports that the scribes and Pharisees were raising would make it easier for the scribes to manipulate them to kill this man. They would have no problem doing it because they've already, and then you know what people do? They spread that false report. They speak that false report that these men have brought against this man, and they state it as fact. And then other people hear, and then other people hear, and then other people hear. And next thing you know, you have gendered a large amount of people who seek to want to do a man harm, who has done no evil whatsoever. And it'll cause the people were looking at the scribes as if they were righteous. Just like the book say, he that justify the wicked and condemn the just, both of them are an abomination. All these people justified the Pharisees and what they did and condemned Yahushua, and this man had done nothing. Because they believed the words that these men spoke. He's casting out spirits by Beelzebub. None of these people sat back and considered that this was a bold-faced lie. Dang, the call just dropped. Yeah, hold on, kid.
The number you are dialing is outside of your plan and will incur a 1 cent per minute charge if you continue. You can hang up now to avoid the charge.
You enter conference.
Hey, man, hold on, man. This junk down here, man. Golly.
The number you are dialing is outside of your plan and will incur a 1 cent per minute charge if you continue. You can hang up now to avoid the charge.
Welcome. There are conference.
Yeah, the call dropped,
Please
y'all.
announce yourself.
The call dropped, y'all. I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with their phone service, man. Call just dropping. So you have to take that into account. That if you're going to be a strong, valiant person for the word, that you will be hated. This is, I know it said mention man, but this is male or female. You know what I'm saying? And I'm also speaking from direct. Some know what I'm talking about, some don't. When Nick's been slandered repeatedly, no one has stood up for anything that they have said or made any accusation in public to anyone. Do you know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, so you have to take that in account. That this is what they did, and you have to be careful with that. And you have to sit back and ask yourself as an individual that if somebody is bringing to you No, I can't use that word. That's not the proper word. Unsolicited evil reports about an individual. You have to question that. Hello? Do you know what I'm saying? All right. If it's not based on fact of something that you have bear witness with your own eyes. I said, I mentioned earlier today, like people can tell you something in their words. People can even say things with their actions. But you really have to look at a consistent pattern of behavior of an individual over a course of time. That's why before we started, why I said that no one can show you that I have a consistent pattern of snaking or crossing anyone, because I've never done it in my entire life. I just don't see no need to do it. I'd rather just not fool with you than cross you out. If I say something, then it's rooted in fact. Something that I observe with my own two eyes that I can speak on and say, this is why I said that. You know what I'm saying? Not on what somebody told me. And there's been instances where people, and let me go into no detail because I just had to do it the other day, even though me personally, I did not believe the individual did what was said about them, but I still will ask, did you do this? Just out of the instance of equity and proper judgment, regardless if I believe the person did it or not. And I'm knowing that this person is slandering this individual, but I'm still going to ask them, because most of the time when people tell you that somebody said or did this, they don't really anticipate you actually asking the person if that is true. Did you say that or did you do that? Most people assume that you will go along with their version of events and not question it, nor even to seek out facts to see if that's true, to see if their version of events lines up with another person's version of events. 9 times out of 10, you very rarely hear two people give the same version of events of a matter, because usually one person is going to try to make themselves look good. When you ask somebody their version of events of a matter that they had a dispute or a quarrel with another individual, and they can state to you what they may have did that was not proper, then 9 times out of 10 you're looking at somebody who's telling you the truth, because they're acknowledging a fault or error that they made, while the other person might be trying to make themselves seem out to be the victim or to make themselves look good in the course of the story. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to pay attention to those small subtle things to be able to judge properly. Oh no, it might be my phone. It might be my phone. I might need to bring it closer to me. So we have to think about that. We have to weigh that out, consider that. You know what I'm saying? Why is that such? Why is that so? And this is what the people were doing to Hamashiach. They were going from spot to spot, trying to get people to go against him. Let's look at something I want to say in Luke 18. And let's look at it. And then we'll read Matthew 12, just because I was talking to Brother Trav out there earlier this week. We good at Romans chapter 1. Romans 1 then gave me what I was looking for. Calm down, Tubby. It's coming, man. That food coming, man. Make sure Luke 18 what it do. It might not be Luke 18, and I'm thinking about the other book or where it's at. Hold on, y'all. Ugh. Give me 1 second. Definitely not it. Actually, it's Luke 13 that I desire. Luke 13 and 10. Luke 13 and 10. Luke 13 and 10. It says, and he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Shabbat. And behold, there was a woman which had a ruach of infirmity 18 years, and was bowed together, and it could no wise lift up herself. And when Yahushua saw her, he called her to him, and said unto her, Woman, thou art loosed from thy infirmity. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and esteemed Elohim. And the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation, because that Yahushua had healed on the Shabbat, and said unto the people, There are 6 days in which men ought to work, in them therefore come and be healed, and not on the Shabbat day. The master then answered him and said, Thou hypocrite, doth not each one of you on the Shabbat loose his ox or his ass from the stall, and lead him away to the watering? Ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, who Hashatan has bound, lo, these 18 years, be loose from this bond on the Shabbat day. Now I'm going to show y'all. Have any of y'all ever thought about what he meant when he said this woman had been bound by Hashatan for 18 years, and where you can find that in the book?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. Anybody else? Well, let's go look at that man who was hated, and let's look at Job chapter 1 and see an example of somebody being bound with the physical affliction by Hashatan. Let's look at Job chapter 1. Job chapter 1. Make sure chapter 1 what we want, because we may want chapter 2. Yeah, we want chapter 2. 2 and 2. It says, and Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, from whence come thou? And Hashatan answered Yahuwah and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, hast thou considered my servant Job? There is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fear Elohim and eschew evil, and still he hold fast his integrity, although thou moved against him to destroy him without cause. And again, that's another parallel with Mashiach. We dealt with that before. Yahuwah moved against Yahushua without cause to destroy him. Where can we see the instance of Hashatan moving to destroy him without cause? When he went into the heart of Judas Iscariot to betray him. Now Yahuwah has moved against him or become an adversary without cause, because Yahushua has done nothing. Yet he held his integrity all the way to the end. What I'm mentioning this is who is a strong and valiant man who is hated, who drinks the wrath of Elohim, and is mocked and ridiculed like Mayim or like water or like violence. He drinks this up. This is what the thing that you got to consider when you eat the bread and you drink the wine, or you're drinking the cup. You are saying that you are willing to be a strong man who will be hated and to take mocking and ridicule. And you're going to drink that up, and you're going to take that, and you're going to stand. Because a lot of people are not able to stand for that. That's why he say the seed in the stony places, when the persecution and tribulation arise because of the word, they are offended. Many people will become offended when they do this. I've had a lot of people say a lot of things about me. I can't control what people say. I can't control their perspective of me. I can't even concern myself with it. The reason why I can't concern myself with it is not a pride thing. The minute you begin to concern yourself with what other people think or say about you is the minute that you lose yourself. There's only a few people in your life that their opinion and their perspective of you is truly going to matter. Do you know what I'm saying? It's only a few people. Opinion and perspective of you is truly going to matter. The way if they say something, you're going to weigh that because of the source, because of the person who is saying it to you. Most people do not actually know you, because they don't even actually take the time to get to know you. Most people only want to know people upon a surface level. Most people don't even trust people to open up themselves enough for them to even know them on a deeper intrinsic level in the first place, because most people want to take that information and use it against you or to exploit you when you make yourself that vulnerable to another person. You know what I'm saying? I myself, I had never had anybody do anything to me my entire lifetime where I had opened myself up to them till recently, only because I wasn't going to allow that to happen, because I just naturally have an extreme distrust for most people, because I know most people are out for self and don't really care about other people. So they don't care about what they do to other people. I can't sit around and say that a whole bunch of people in my lifetime done did me wrong. People done did things wrong to me, but I'm not going to say, oh, they just did me so wrong, because a lot of stuff I didn't really care. It is what it is. It's done. I don't want no grudges. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't seen my daddy for 24 years. I did not hold that against that man. You know what I'm saying? When I seen him, it was as if I had just seen him the day before. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't walk around bitter and mad. My daddy wasn't there for me. He didn't do this. I didn't think about it. I didn't really care. If he's here, he's here. If he's not, he's not. It's his loss. That's how I viewed it. You know what I'm saying? When he reached out and said, hey, I need you to come see me. You know what I'm saying? See your brothers, this, that, and the 30. What? No, oh man, I ain't coming to go see him. I'm going to go holler at him. Didn't change the fact that it's still my daddy. I just mentioned this because my brother called me with something earlier today. Like, hey man, we may not see none of the insurance money. You know, it is what it is. In his instance, I can understand where he coming from because he sacrificed 4 years of his life for our daddy. I will forever respect him for that because most people are not going to do that. He showed by a consistent pattern of action how much he loved our daddy because of what he did, because he didn't have to do that. So I can see where he could look at it and say, I feel like I should get a portion of that for what I gave up. I didn't do it for that, but that's just the right thing to do. And I concur with that assessment. You know what I'm saying? He hadn't did anything financially for me for years. So I wasn't looking for anything. I could care less. You know, my daddy gone. What I care about that money for? But this is how people move. This is why it's easy for people to slander you. Most people slander you because of the love that other people have for you or the respect that other people have for you. Most people slander you because they want to be you. Or they don't like the spot and position you in and they just want to remove you from it. Nevertheless, let me finish what we're looking at. 2 and 4. Hashatan answered Yahuwah and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man have will he give for his life. But put forth thy hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, behold, he is in thy hand, but save his life. So went Hashatan forth from the presence of Yahuwah and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his feet unto his sole of his foot unto his crown. So this is why the master, you can come back to Luke 13. This is why the master said that Hashatan had bound this woman with this infirmity of this affliction, because we could see in the text that Yahuwah gave Satan the leave to bound Job with an affliction. So sometimes when you see physical afflictions on the people, it is literally Satan having someone bound with this affliction. And Yahuwah is permitting the person to do it, as you just read there in Job. And this is to sit back and to understand of why he made the statement that he made, and for you to understand that those things do occur. That you could see someone have a debilitating disease, and Satan could literally be the cause behind it for whatever, for reasons known unto Yahuwah, of which we cannot answer. And I'm stating that because I can't tell you why y'all would say, okay, hit Job with the boils. Give her this infirmity or this issue of blood, or do this here. I can't answer that, and I'm not going to attempt to answer that. That's not my space. Like David said, I do not exercise my things that are too high for me. And I think a lot of people exercise themselves or seek to practice themselves in things that are outside of their pay grade. That has absolutely nothing to do with you, and you don't actually need to be concerned with it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's something they're too high for me. I don't concern myself with it. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm going to keep myself in the lot which he has given. If he chooses to let certain things be known, then he'll let those things be known. We feel like that we're supposed to know every single solitary thing versus knowing what the man has given you to know. We haven't even mastered what he's given us to know, and we try to know everything else. What is it? Luke 13 again? Oh, because I got the wrong book. That's why. Verse 17. And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for all the esteemed things that were done by him. Now let's look at Luke 15 and 1. And let's look where they try to slander him again. You have to sit back and look at all the evil reports that they're bringing up against this man. And then we're going to go to Matthew chapter 9 and look at what they whispered in their hearts. All these evil reports. That's why he say, he hideth hatred with lying lips. People hide their hatred for another person by slandering them, by lying on them. You know what I'm saying? It says, then drew near unto him all the publicans and sinners for to hear him. And the Pharisees and scribes murmured, saying, this man receives sinners and eat with them. So we know this is because these people felt like they were better than the people. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, this is slander against him. Why is this slander against him? Let's go to Psalms 1 and 1 and let's see why they slandering him then. Because this is what they basically saying he violating. If you know the word, then you would know he's eating with sinners. But let's look at Psalm 1 and 1 and see why. This is the curve the people to despise this man. Psalms 1 and 1. If I can get around that, we might make something else. It says, Baruch is the man that walk not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the way of sinners, nor sit in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the Torah of Yahuwah, and his law, and in his law he meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bring forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither. Whatsoever he do shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind drive away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahuwah know the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. So them scribes knowing the law, knowing the Torah, they sitting back looking at that sinners won't stand in the body of the righteous, and the ungodly are perishing. The man's blessed if he don't go in the way of sinners. Yet this man is sitting down eating with sinners, and he receives them. So they looking at this man. He got to be ungodly. He got to be wicked. Look at what he's doing, slandering him. So if the people knowing the word and they hear them say this, then what is the thought process they're going to have of this man? Let's look at another place where they slandered him in the 5th chapter of John. Before we look at Matthew chapter 9. And then we'll look at the places where Job's friends slandered him. John chapter 5 and about verse 14, I want to say. Make it about verse 8. I want to say about verse 5. 5 and 5. And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years. When Yahushua saw him lie, and knew that he had been nigh a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another step down before me. Yahushua saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. Immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed, and walked. And on the same day was the Shabbat. The Yahudim therefore said unto him that was cured, It is the Shabbat day, it is not lawful for thee to carry thy bed. He answered them, He that made me whole, the same said unto me, Take up thy bed and walk. Now I'm going to ask y'all a question. Where does it say anywhere in the law that you can't carry nothing? Because it doesn't say that. He told him it's not lawful for you to pick up your bed on the Shabbat. But the master told him to do it. So clearly it wouldn't have been anything unlawful, because he wouldn't have told him to do this. Because I'm leading something else. I mentioned it to y'all Wednesday, and I'm going to mention it again. And he says, And that he that was healed wist not who it was, for Yahushua conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. And afterwards Yahushua found him in the temple, and said unto him, Behold, thou art made whole, sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you. The man departed and told the Yahudim, Yahushua, which was the one which made him whole. Therefore did the Yahudim persecute him, and sought to slay him, because he had healed on the Shabbat day. Now these people sitting up here and persecuting this man. And why are they persecuting this man? Because they believe that they have brought an evil report against this man by saying that he's done an unlawful work on the Shabbat. But let's look at Sunday Matthew chapter 12 before we look at Matthew chapter 9. Because there's a lot of things that I see they doing this stuff now. 12 and 1. They doing people like this now. He said, At that time Yahushua went on the Shabbat day through the corn, and his disciples were hungered, and began to pluck the ears of the corn and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Shabbat day. But he said unto them, Have you not read what David did when he was hungered, and they that were with him, and how he entered into the house of Elohim, and did eat the shewbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priest? Or have you not read in the Torah how that on the Shabbat days the priests in the temple profane the Shabbat, and are blameless? But I say unto you that in this place is one greater than the temple. But if you had known what this mean, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, you would have not condemned the guiltless. Even the Son of Man is master even of the Shabbat day. Hold on, let me see something. Hold on, verse 9. And when he had departed thence, he went into the synagogue. And behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Shabbat days, that they might accuse him? And he said unto them, What man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if it fall into the pit on the Shabbat, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out? How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Shabbat days. Then he saith to the man, Stretch forth thy hand, and stretched it forth, and it was restored whole, like as the other. Then the Pharisees went out and held a council against him on how they might destroy him. But when Yahushua knew it, he withdrew himself from thence, and great multitudes followed them, and he healed them all. And he charged them that they should not make him known. Do you realize how evil you got to be to go have a counsel for the specific purpose to lie on a man for healing someone? Because if it's a council, this is a multitude of people that they're gathering together to bring a false report, to have these people put their hands to be an unrighteous witness, to do evil, to slander a man. Now, you know, a lot of people make that mention of it's lawful to do well on the Sabbath day as an excuse to get up and go to work. That's not what he was talking about. That man say if an animal fall in the pit and you're going to save this animal for death and destruction, you don't think it's lawful for you to save a man from death and destruction? You ain't saving nobody from death and destruction taking your funky behind to work on Saturday. Or whenever a man keep the Shabbat, whether he do lunar Shabbat, I don't care how they keep it, however you observe it, you ain't doing no good taking your sting behind the work. When we talk to them lunar Sabbath niggas, them niggas telling us they work on the day they observe the Shabbat. So why you even talking about it? You don't even observe it. You don't even do it. That's how much you value it. But see, we came there for this here, right? They sliding through their cornfield, they hungry, they plucking corn. I told you I talked to my people, man, he telling me, yeah, man, we trying to show them it's lawful to cook on the Sabbath. It ain't no sin. You know what I'm saying? Dude saying you can't cook on the Sabbath. Nowhere in the text does it tell you that you can't cook a meal on the Sabbath. What do dudes use to justify that? Exodus 16. He said, seed what you gonna seed and bake what you gonna bake. That was talking about manna though. I ain't seen damn nigga in my entire lifetime go outside and pick up no manna and bring it in the house on the 6th day with a double portion so they could eat. I ain't never seen it. You ever seen somebody pick up some manna? Any of y'all on this phone ever seen anybody pick up some manna? Because I ain't never seen it. Because that's what he was telling them to bake into seed was manna. He wasn't telling them to bake and seed no oxen. He wasn't telling them to bake and seed no chicken. He wasn't telling them to bake and seed no leavened bread or unleavened bread. He wasn't telling them to bake and seed no chicken, no beef, no none of that, no fish, no nothing. It was strictly an instruction pertaining to manna. That's it. That's what that was an instruction towards. Manna, nothing else. We can't take what he told you to do with manna and try to make that unilateral on everything, because it's not. It's not. It's strictly for that. And they slandered this man for getting something to eat on the Sabbath. They brought an evil report on this man. They say he was breaking the law for eating on the Sabbath. Y'all ain't got no business sitting around here on this man set apart. The Sabbath is a feast. So you ain't got no business around here sitting around here hungry. Niggas got hundreds of thousands of people on the Sabbath day every Sabbath eating cereal, eating cold cuts. You know what I'm saying? Breaking their neck to get home to make sure they can cook a meal before the sun go down when you supposed to feast on this day if possible. You can't feast on no cold cuts. I guarantee you're going to get tired of a turkey sandwich after a while. Some of y'all might not get tired of no. Some of you like fried bologna and cheese. You might can eat that all day for a 24-hour period. Some people can't. Do you know what I'm saying? Indeed. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because like I said, right, we don't agree with ISUPK and everything they got going on. Dudes ridiculed them hard for having barbecues. They barbecuing on the Sabbath. But just like he mentioned, the priests profane the Sabbath every week. Because they said don't kindle no fire in your habitation. If you are a maker of iron and things of that nature, then of course you ain't got no business kindling fire in that. Then on top of that, they were in tents. So you ain't got no business light, no fire, no tent. You're going to burn the whole camp down. I challenge anyone, and not out of no disrespect, Look and see what this man told you not to cook nothing on the Sabbath. Because you're not going to find it. It's not there. You know what I'm saying? It's not in there. It's not present. Truth be told, as I mentioned to y'all before, that come from the Jewish people. Because they say don't do it. You know, they don't even cut light switches on the Sabbath. They cut all their lights on in their house and leave them on for the duration of the Sabbath. If they don't cut it on, the light don't get it. I told the Jewish lady asked me to cut her lights on because she said she couldn't cut them on herself. Well, I say, shoot, you might as well to cut them on by yourself. If you're going to ask me to do it, you participating in it, so you might as well did it yourself. That didn't make no sense. I can't cut my lights on. Can you cut them on for me? That's why all them Jewish people be getting ran over on San Jose Boulevard, because they say they can't press the button on the crosswalk because they can't kindle no fire to make the crosswalk go on. That's why they kept getting ran over going to their little synagogue on San Jose. To the point that they wanted the city of Jacksonville to build a walk-over overpass on San Jose Boulevard for them. And the city of Jacksonville told them, you better ask your God to do it because we're not doing it. Dead serious. They ain't saying it in them words, but that's pretty much what they told them. Nevertheless, but we got to roll. Come on over to Matthew chapter 9. Let's look at it one more time. They slandered them again. This time they slandered them in their heart. 9:1. And then we go straight to Matthew 27. So you have to watch that. There people slander you all the time. You know, John 11 and 48, you can pick it up again where they slandered him. You can pick up Matthew 26 and picking up about verse 12. We're really about verse 1 and just work your way down. And you see again that they went to slander him. That's when they hollered at Judas and coveted it with him for the 30 pieces of silver to take him out. They were sitting there slandering the man, whispering, breathing an evil report. Because very rarely, now we see a couple instances where they did it, but very rarely did they step to this man face to face with the accusations that they were making. Because they knew every time they stepped to this man with an accusation that they were making, he smashed them. That's why they stopped doing it. That's why they stopped doing it. And he entered into a ship and passed over and came into his own city. And behold, they brought him to a man sick of the palsy, laying on a bed. And the Yahushua, seeing their faith, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer. Golly! That junk dropping extra hard tonight, man. I don't know what's up with that. Weather ain't even bad today.
A 1 cent per minute charge if you continue. You can hang up now to avoid the charge.
Yeah.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. Please enter your access code.
All right, hold on.
There are conference.
I don't know what's up with this.
Please announce yourself.
I don't know what's up with that signal tonight, y'all. Goodness grief. So he said he brought to him a man sick of the palsy, laying on the bed. Yahushua seeing their faith. I got you, man. I don't know what's up with the signal tonight, man. Seeing their face, say, Son, be of good cheer. Thy sins are forgiven of thee. And behold, a certain of the scribes said within themselves, This man blasphemed. Yahushua, knowing their thoughts, Wherefore think ye evil in your hearts? For whether it is easier to say, Thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, Arise and walk. But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on the earth to forgive sins, then saith he to the sick of the palsy, Arise, take up thy bed, and walk. And he arose and departed to his house. But when the multitude saw it, they marveled and esteemed Elohim, which had given such power unto men. And as Yahushua passed from thence, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of custom, and saith unto him, Follow me. And he arose and followed him. And it came to pass, as Yahushua sat at meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, Why eat your master with publicans and sinners? Notice again, they didn't come to the master with it. They said it to his disciples. If you want to know why this man eating with publicans and sinners, why don't you ask him? And you know why they brought that to the disciples? To plant a seed of doubt in their heads, so they might turn on him. See, that's what people do. When they want you to turn on somebody, they're not going to bring the evil things that they have to say about that person to that person. They're going to bring it to the people who run with that person to cause them to look at this person in a different fashion. Some people fall for it, some people don't. See, Hamashiach interjected on them When he heard them do that, that means that's how much more of a coward can you be that he's sitting right there and you don't say it to him, you say it to his disciples. He heard him. Why he eat with publicans and sinners? Well, whole nigga, why you just ain't ask me? I could tell you. What you asking them for? Because their intent was to slander the man. Their intent was to bring an evil report against the man. That's what their intent was. Matthew chapter 27. That's a real coward move right there. Real coward move on their part. There's no way around that. And some people have that spirit of the scribes and Pharisees. Remember, he said, in matter of fact, let's get Luke 13. Luke 12, actually, because I feel like reading before we read Matthew 27. I just want you to see what the master said, because a lot of people walking around and they showing forth that they're the children of those men. All you got to do is pay attention. Luke chapter 12. My bad. I got Luke 12. I think it's Luke 12. It should be Luke 12. Well, this book just throwing me off. It's Luke 11. My apologies. Luke 11 and 47. Or Luke 11 and 45. Luke 11 and 45. Then answered one of the lawyers and said unto him, Master, thus saying, thou reproach us also? And he said, woe unto you also, ye lawyers, for you laid men with burdens grievous to be borne, and you yourselves touch not the burden with one of your fingers. Woe unto you, for you build the sepulchres of the prophets, and your fathers killed them. Truly you bear witness that you allow the deeds of your fathers, for they indeed killed them, and you build their sepulchres. Therefore also said the wisdom of Elohim, I will send them prophets and apostles, and some of them they shall slay and persecute, that the blood of all the prophets which was shed from the foundation of the world may be required of this generation. From the blood of Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, which perished before the altar and temple, truly I say unto you, it shall be required of this generation. So you have to sit back and look at it. He says some of them you'll slay and persecute. You know, in Matthew, they said that we will not be partakers we were not partakers in the blood of the prophets. He says, showing forth that you are the children of those who killed the prophets. You have to look for a pattern of behavior, and you can see people manifesting the pattern of behavior of the scribes and the Pharisees, which means that they manifested the pattern of behavior of those who slayed, persecuted, and slandered the prophets of old. The same way that Korah rose up to slander Moses. The same way Moses and Miriam was slandering Moses because of, oh, he married this Ethiopian woman. We got the word too. Oh, we set apart like Mo. He take too much. Who he think he is. You know what I'm saying? He doing this on his own. We can do it too. You have to sit back and look at this. Only difference is they didn't kill Moses. You can sit back and look at the people brought a slander on the land, not realizing they were bringing slander on Yahuwah, because the land was the land that Yahuwah promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and stated that the land was a certain thing. And they came back and said the land was not. Therefore, they didn't bring an evil report on the land. They brought an evil report on Yahuwah. That's why that comes into that in that 1 Thessalonians 4. He that despiseth not man, but Elohim. So you have to look at it. When people slandering you and persecuting you, they're not doing that to you. They doing that to Elohim. That's who they really got a problem with. If you are doing the things that are with and for Elohim, that's what people really got a problem with. And people don't realize that you're not speaking against that person. You just heaping up judgment against yourself. Against yourself. You can't tell people that though. You know what I'm saying? I was just listening to an interview with two wrestlers though. Y'all know, they don't really know who they is. I know who they is, but y'all wouldn't know who they is because they weren't that famous. But he said him and this man had a large problem for years. And he said they sat down and locked themselves in a room. And he told this man, look here, man. Either we gonna fight or we gonna iron this stuff out. He said, but one way or another, this beef we got going on, it's got to stop. He said that him and this man sat down for 5 hours. and realized that the most of the issues that they had with each other were not organic issues that they had with one another, but were the machinations and manipulations of other people in each individual's ear to cause them to view this person in a particular perspective of someone whom he did not really know. You know what I'm saying? And you got to pay attention to that. You know, I done have people say, oh, he do that to people. I will state what I have seen you do. And I have no problem standing up right before you and saying, did what I said, and this is why I said it. Because I don't have no need to manipulate anybody to not like or dislike anyone. It makes me no never mind. I really don't care who you like or who you don't like, who you hang with or who you don't hang with. But if individuals are exhibiting negative behavior that could be detrimental to you, I will warn you of that for you to pay attention to that. And you do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? But purposely going out of my way, you don't want to hang with this person because they just that there in the third to lie on them. So I don't get none of that. Why do I care who you hang with? I don't care. You could be friends with who you want to be friends with. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But it's no different than a parent with a child or an older sibling with a younger sibling. If you see somebody that can be a negative influence and a detriment to your friend, to your child, or to your sibling, or to your friend, you're gonna tell them. You're going to tell them. What type of friend would you be if you see that somebody could have an adverse effect on your friend, on your family, on your child, and you don't tell them? That doesn't make sense to me. If we're recognizing behaviors, not a personal feeling, or you just don't want them to be cool with them. We're talking about recognizing behavior. This is a behavior you might want to be aware of. I'm making you abreast of it before it occurs. Once you see it, you can do with it what you will. Do you know what I'm saying? I tell a person, hey, if this person doing A, B, C, and D, you might not want to hang out with them. You might not want to be around them. You think I would tell my son, oh yeah, man, my homeboy, he smoked crack. And I'm going to tell him, yeah, man, go on and hang with that. There ain't no big deal he smoke crack. You might not want to be around this nigga if he's smoking rocks now. You might not want to hang with somebody who robbing and stealing. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to like committing crimes, we don't have no problem telling people you might not want to keep company with this person. But when people around here lying or being spiteful or malicious or slandering or fornicating or commit adultery or blaspheming or idolatry or being slick and slimy, when we say, hey, you might not want to fool with them, now we trying to make people not hang with you. What's the difference? If that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing. What's, you know, the best thing you could do? Change your behavior. Then that couldn't be stated. See, they were outright lying on Hamashiach. If a person states something they ain't lying on you, then you ain't got no bit of opening your mouth then. You're going to have to take that on the chin.
Pull it out, boy.
But don't nobody want to take it on the chin, though. Come on back to Matthew 27. Don't nobody want to take it on the chin, though. If it's factual, it's factual. It's actually Matthew 26, y'all. 26 and 59. And let's sit back and look at how they sought to get people to slander this man. And that means you know that they had to be whispering against this man to even conjure up people to do it. Which should give you the remembrance, and most high willing. Because once we finish this Job 34, Yah willing, we'll begin the process of those four matters. The first one being Proverbs 24, and then the splits in the kingdom, and Israel standing on her ways, and Judah standing on Yah's ways. And we're going to look at Ahab. Yah willing, the truth be told, the objective is to analyze and scrutinize every single solitary king and Yasharal and Yehuda by the time we get finished with that particular matter. And we could be on that particular matter for a multitude of weeks. And unless something major occurs, we will not deviate from that particular matter. You know what I'm saying? Yah willing, nothing occurs to where we have to deviate from that particular matter. So we're going to have to look at every single solitary one of them. So you can understand what Amos says and what Hosea says, and that stuff will make a lot more sense to you. And that stuff will make a lot more sense to you to understand that there has been division from amongst this people from the time that you were conceived. And that from the time when you were conceived, that there were those who stood on their ways, and there were those who stood on Yah's ways. Because those that came out the wilderness wanting to go back were standing on their ways. Korah was standing on their ways. Those who brought the slander on the land were standing on their ways. Because they wanted to go back to Egypt, where it was comfortable. Where it was comfortable. See, when you stand on your ways, it's easier for you because you're comfortable. You're comfortable with your peer group. You're comfortable with your thoughts. You're comfortable with your doings because there's no adversity. See, when he took them out of Egypt and brought them in the wilderness, that was for a little adversity to get you out of your comfort zone. Therefore, he could weed out the real from the fake. That's the purpose of persecution and tribulation. Adversity manifests the character of a man. It manifests the character of a woman. It manifests the commitment to a relationship, whether it be friendship or whether it be marriage. And in this reference of marriage, I'm referring to Yah marrying us. Though you can look at it as a man and a woman. That's why we referenced earlier, if a man stepped to a woman and told her, I want to marry you within 12 months, yeah, if I was a woman, I would look at that kind of funny. Because that's not an extended period of time if you don't really know me to make such a major commitment. Because what if we don't have any adversity in them 12 months, and the minute we get married, we get faced with adversity and you fold? I have to serve and follow a coward. I'm not cool with that. Do you know how demoralizing that has to be for a woman to know that her husband is a coward? A coward? Who is not capable of holding up upon his shoulders adversity, who can't bend his shoulder to bow and carry the burden and stand up tall like a man and carry it. That when adversity is present, he does not come up with plans in his head to how he can get his family up out of this trouble. Because most of the time, if a man faced with adversity, he won't even tell the family what the plan is because he looking at, he don't want to trouble them with it. It's my problem. I'll deal with it. I'm going to figure it out. A cow would fold and fall in the middle of the floor and go to crying. Oh, what we going to do? I don't know what we're going to do. Oh. And therefore, it makes everyone in the household weak. Makes everybody in the house weak. That's why he say, look to the author and finisher of your faith, who for the joy set before him didn't despise the shame and endured the stake. He was faced with adversity and met it with joy and adulation. So therefore, when you're faced with adversity, you would do the same thing. No worry, no trepidation, no fear, none of that. That's what a man's supposed to do. You know, women get nervous because they're emotional creatures by nature. That's cool. Men get nervous. Ain't even nothing wrong with being a little nervous. But when fear steps in, now there's a problem. There's a problem. How can you really know somebody in 12 months? Especially if you don't live with them. Because if you live with a nigga, you really know them. Then they butt naked and ain't nowhere to hide if you live with them. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't live with them, I don't really know this nigga. You can be whoever you want to be when I come pick you up. When we go hang out, you be whoever you want to be. Akira said it take time. I say at least a year and a half, 2 years, you know what I'm saying? 3 years, it's time to make something shake after that. That's if you don't know the person. I'm talking about straight blank. I just met you, we courting, I want to marry you. Yeah, man, you need about 2-3 years on that. You need about 2-3 years on that. Because you're going to need time to build a friendship and all of that. I think that's what most of our people mess up at. You don't try to build no friendship with somebody before you be with them. I can speak that from personal experience. I probably should have did that first. Kind of was difficult in the situation, but in retrospect and hindsight, should have did that first. Might have went a little smoother. Might have went a little better. Do you know what I'm saying? Matthew 26:59 though. Say now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Yahushua to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. And the last came 2 false witnesses. Just like Ahab went and they whispered. Well, Jezebel went and whispered and got those men to lie on, I'm finna say the man's name wrong. I can't recall his name. Naboth. There we go. They whispered. They slandered him. And in their hatred for him, It came with the lying lips. They hated Naboth because he didn't want to give up his vineyard. They hate Yahushua because he didn't want to fold on the word. He stood for it. He lived it. And he condemned their behavior. Therefore, they hid their hatred with lying lips. And then the last part of that Proverbs 10 and 18 is, we got to move on from this point. It's 10:30. The last point in that Proverbs 10 and 18 is what? That he that utters slander is a fool. Is a fool. So a person who utters slander is a fool. You are a stupid individual. You have to pay attention to that. So when you hear people uttering slander or bringing evil reports on a person, then you know according to the word of Yahuwah, they are a fool. And if you perceive that a man does not have the words of understanding in his lip, and I just want y'all to hear this now. The word is kasal, and it means a stupid fellow, a simpleton, an arrogant one. So a person who utters slander is a simpleton. You know, I remember like this here, man. I feel like calling someone a simpleton is worse than calling them stupid or a fool. And you got to look at that. If you know somebody is bringing an evil report or slandering someone, just know you're talking to a simpleton. And you know that you should have no fellowship with simpletons or fools according to the text. Nevertheless, let's come back over here to when we look at Job 40, 34 and 7 about who's a man like Job, who drinks up scorning like water. Let's look at the drinking of the cup. Let's look at Matthew 26 and then we work our way back. We'll work our way back. And then when we work our way back, we'll swing ourselves around to 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and then we'll deal with the mocking that's going to come, or the scorning that's going to come from drinking this cup. Because you're going to be hated because you drink this cup. Before we read Matthew 26, let's read Matthew chapter 20. Matthew 20 and 20. Because I want every one of you to ask yourself this question and commune with it in your own heart. What he about to ask two of his apostles, two of his disciples. Because you got to ask yourself, are you willing to take that? Say, then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons, worshiping him and desire a certain thing of him. He said unto her, what wilt thou? She saith unto him, grant that these my two sons may sit, the one on thy right hand and the other on thy left in thy kingdom. But Yahushua answered and said, ye know not what you ask. Are you able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be immersed with the immersion that I am immersed with? And they say unto him, we are able. Are you able to drink the cup that he drank from? Before we even look at Matthew 26, we don't even need Matthew 26. Let's swing over here to Isaiah chapter 51. Ask yourself, are you able to drink from that cup? Everybody is not able to drink from that cup. Everybody don't want to sip that cup. Because everybody does not want to take everything that goes along with that cup. Don't let people fool you now. Don't let nobody deceive you in that in any shape, form, or fashion. Because a lot of niggas don't want nothing to do with that cup. I tell you straight and down, a lot of niggas do not want nothing to do with that cup. They trying to avoid that cup. And it is what it is. After we read Isaiah 51, we're going to go to Ezekiel 23. And then Jeremiah 49. See, and I got another matter, most I willing, I'm going to get. That's the matter that I ended with, talking about in Jude, about others saving with fear. Because we won't be able to get on that tonight. But this will correlate and parallel with drinking this cup. 51 and 17. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which has drunk at the hand of Yahuwah the cup of his fury. Thou hast drunken the dregs of the cup of trembling and wrung them out. He said that they have drunk the cup of trembling and wrung. Now drop down to verse 21 now. And then we're going, before we read this Ezekiel 23, we're going to read Ezekiel 12. Because like I say, I'm leading up to something which we're going to deal with on tomorrow, y'all willing. You know what I'm saying? And hallelujah for Yahushua for the word. Because we're going to deal with others saving with fear. And remember, we looked at the Greek word for fear. It meant to be in awe or terror or to tremble. And that's niggas' problem. We're going to deal with both aspects of what Jude wrote. Jude wrote that some have compassion, making a difference. And he's saying others save with fear, pulling people out of the fire. And we're going to look at how many of the prophets came and spit words that caused the people to tremble with fear. That the fear for Elohim would cause them to turn from their evil ways. Because I'm going to tell you something. You got to watch people that cause you to not want to have the fear of Yah in your heart for this man. Because some of y'all know when y'all were young and your people called you in that room, but some of y'all were trembling because you knew that boy, your people would knock your whole dome loose and you ain't want no problem with that. I seen somebody messing with Lonzo Ball. They had a problem. They say when they were interviewing him and his son, they say that LeVar Ball, they say every time that Lonzo didn't speak, and he looked like he was scared of his father. And the dude told him, no, Lonzo speak when he's spoken to, like a child is supposed to. His dad is right here talking. Why would this child interrupt his father while he's speaking? That's respect. You know what I'm saying? But white people look at that like, look, he's scared of his father. You supposed to be. You supposed to be. You supposed to fear your parents. You supposed to have that level and reverence of respect for them. But see, this society has caused you not to have that level of respect for your parents, because now everybody want to be cool with their kids. Don't nobody really want to chastise them. Don't nobody really want to straighten them. You don't want your kid mad with you, or you don't want to see him cry. When the book tell you don't spare for his tears, chasten him. See, our children go to crying. We get upset. We don't want to see him cry. It's understandable. All of us have that soft spot for your children. You don't want to see him upset. You don't want to see him cry. You don't want to do none of this here. But then you have to sit back and look at them. They supposed to have. How could you sit back and think that you got some young men that are 6'6", 200 some odd pounds and are fearful of their mama, and their mama 5'1", $115? Looking at them doing full well that according to physical stature, he could snap his mama in half. But because of the framework of the fear that she placed in their heart from the time they were born, they have that level of respect for her. Because I have to mention this here because it's not a lot of men who in our households, unfortunately. But then you know a lot of young men, boy, they scared of their daddies now. They ain't finna try their daddy. I heard LeVar Ball say he told his sons, oh, you want to call your mama a female dog? Yeah, you can call her a female dog, but when you're sick, don't come looking for her. When you're hungry, don't look for her to fix you nothing to eat. And he said they never disrespected their mama. And a white person to hear that and be like, oh, why could you say that? Because he was letting them know something. That if this is what you want to do to your mama, then don't expect nothing back in return for doing this to your mama. Because if you're going to disrespect your mama, then you can't get nothing back in return for respecting your mama. He was raising those children to have a healthy respect for him and their mother. And you can see that at least in a small inkling from the outside looking in through their interactions on television, that these are mild-mannered children who respect their parents. How many times do people say something to you about how the girls act when you're in public? People say they're very well mannered, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said it. They said that said to me when I had him at Home Depot. Look at here, right? Lee be working Lil Mike, but you see Lil Mike is very respectful and well mannered. Why? Because that's what you're supposed to do. He fears his mama like he's supposed to. Meaning he respects his mama, he reverences his mama like he's supposed to. He's supposed to look at when she raised her hand, he go to, no, mama, don't hit me, please, and get himself in order. You're supposed to be like that. We look at that as a negative thing now. We're not talking about child abuse. We're not talking about fear of being beaten to a pulp. We're not talking about that type of fear. Reverence and respect. That is no longer present. And men don't want nobody to have the fear of Yahuwah in their heart. Because if you don't have the fear of Yahuwah in your heart, then there's really nothing that's going to stop you from doing whatever it is that you want to do. That man say, if I be a master, where is my fear? This is what your God said in Malachi chapter 1 verse 6. Not what I said. This is what your God said. If he say he your Lord, he your master, he your ruler, where is his fear at? Now, if we go sit around here and read where your Savior had a fear and trembling for his Father, then why you ain't got it if you say this who you follow, and he said we ought to follow this man's footsteps? Nevertheless, 51 and 21, therefore hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine, Thus saith thy master Yahuwah and thy Elohim that plead the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thy hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again. This man said he gave him a cup of trembling. Ezekiel chapter 12. And then we'll read Ezekiel 23. And then we'll swing to Jeremiah 49 before we swing to Matthew 26. Because you got to drink up the scorning like water. Like Job, if you're a strong man who's hated, you got to drink up scorning like water. So you got to drink this cup. And you drink this cup, it's going to cause you to be mocked and ridiculed. And if you're not able to be mocked and ridiculed, then clearly you're not a strong man. And clearly you're not hated. Because clearly you ain't serving Yah. But nobody wants to have these conversations. Because you got to be willing to take that. You got to ask yourself, as a woman, and I'm talking about natural women, and then as Yasharal as his wife as a woman. So I want the women to look at it from their perspective, and then I want everyone to look at it from a perspective of being members of his body or his wife. Would you be willing to be joined and follow and hearken and listen to a man who could not endure through adversity? If you can sit back and see that your husband can be ridiculed, can be disrespected, can be mocked, can be spit on, can be beaten, and be brought all manner of low, falsely at that. Have all manner of people come against him. Have everything seem that what could be right go wrong, and endure through that adversity where his trust and his hope and his power never failed. How could you not hearken and listen to and follow a man of that magnitude? But you know what our people like to cling to, whether it be natural women or our people as a whole, men who fold in the face of adversity and make excuses for their folding in the face of adversity. At least if you failed or stumbled in the face of adversity, at least we could respect you more if you was a stand-up man and admitted your fault and your error that you made and sat back and seen this how I'm gonna correct it. I let this situation get the best of me. I pray Yahuwah have mercy. I bounce back and come better. Because sometimes adversity does overcome some people if you've never been through it. You know what I'm saying? I've been through a lot of things in my lifetime, so I know I can handle whatever. It doesn't really matter. Do you know what I'm saying? Some people can't handle nothing. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta wait it out. You gotta wait it out. Why would we sit back and don't even sit back at the book tell us to look at the author and finisher of our faith, that this man endured all manner of adversity. I ought to emulate him. This would give me strength inwardly to know. That's why Paul say I can do all things through Mashiach who strengthened me, knowing full well that this man endured all manner of adversity for our sake, not for his. For our sake and not for his. You know what I'm saying? We got to use a natural thing to look at this spiritually. Because if your husband, if your mate is not a strong individual to be able to deal with adversity, then why would you hearken unto him and why would you follow him? Why? What is the purpose? It doesn't make sense. So if we look at our husband, is this type of man who can handle adversity, then we ought to hearken unto him and listen to him. Because this is a man of strength. Which is what you ought to desire, to follow a man of strength. Muhammad ain't got no strength. Buddha ain't got no strength. Krishna and all this other stuff they got going on, they ain't got no strength. Because the word of Elohim is not present with them, therefore they have no power. And his favor is made sufficient in weakness. But we got it backwards. Because we don't want to be perceived weak, because a lot of things we looking at it from a Eurocentric view. That if you in certain things, or you weak and you not no man. That's why Paul say, I esteem in my infirmities that the power of Elohim might rest in me. You get the Ezekiel, man. I'm in Jose. I can't get nothing popping in the Jose right now. Ezekiel chapter 12. Verse 17. And after that, Ezekiel chapter 23. You know, the word is a beautiful thing. We'll look at verse 30. It says, moreover, the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, eat thy bread with quaking, and drink thy water with trembling and carefulness. And say unto the people of the land, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of the inhabitants of Jerusalem and of the land of Yasharal, they shall eat their bread with carefulness, and drink their water with astonishment, that the land may be desolate from all that is therein, because of the violence of all that dwell therein. So he said, now he telling Ezekiel, who is a parallel in this particular chapter to Yahusha, to drink his water with trembling. And then he said, you're going to do it because of all the things that you're going to see, because of the fear and because of the terror. Ezekiel chapter 23. The fear of Yahuwah is good. It ain't nothing wrong with it. It ain't nothing wrong to have it in your heart. It's a good thing to have in your heart. That's strong and fervent and ardent respect and honor for the man who created you. He is the father of all ruachs. Make yourself be in subjection unto him. And after that, because it just popped in my head too. Go grab your Psalms 19 and 9. After we read this Ezekiel 23, since I'm getting it on a little early, but I got to work it. I got to work it in. And y'all willing, we finish it off on tomorrow. 23 and 30. I will do these things unto thee, because thou hast went a whoring after the heathen, and because thou art polluted with their idols. Thou hast walked in the way of thy sister, therefore will I give her cup into thy hand. Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, thou shalt drink of thy sister's cup deep and large, and thou shalt be laughed to scorn, and had in derision. It contained much. Let me look at something in this particular verse. That man said, you're going to drink this thing deep and hard. And it contains much things upon it. So let's examine it a little bit more closely here. When we look at getting laughed to scorn, the word esok, and that's a laughing or a laughing stock. And we're going to look at that as well. That the Hamashiach was turned into a byword and a proverb and astonishment and a laughing stock. And then derision is the same thing, a mocking and a ridicule. But I just wanted to look at it contains much. And when we look at contain, the word is cool and is simply to hold in or to endure, to sustain or to restrain or to nourish or to support or to measure or to calculate. There's a lot of things measured in that cup when you take that sip. It's a great amount of things that's in that cup. Now I got something else to think of that just hit my head when it comes to that. Listen to what he said in verse 33. Thou shalt be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, with the cup of astonishment and desolation, with the cup of thy sister Samaria. Thou shalt even drink it and suck it out. And thou shalt break the shreds thereof and pluck off thy own breast. For I have spoken it, saith Yahuwah. This man just sat back and said, you're going to drink all this wrath and all this fury. And when you drink this cup, that you will be derided, and you will be mocked, and you will be ridiculed, and you'll be a laughing stock, and you'll be a byword and a proverb. Before we read Psalm 19, Deuteronomy 28. And after Deuteronomy 28, 2 Chronicles chapter 7. And then Psalms 19. See, I know a lot of people don't want to be ridiculed. Dang, it's almost 11 o'clock already. A lot of people don't want to be ridiculed. A lot of people don't want to suffer that. Or is this clock wrong on here? No, it ain't. A lot of people don't want to be ridiculed. A lot of people don't want to take that. What verses is I want this, man? Deuteronomy 28 and I know this verse right in my face. I'll put 45 for now, but I don't think that's what I want though. Deuteronomy 28, 37. That's all we want. He said, thou shalt become an astonishment a proverb and a byword among all the nations which Yahuwah shall lead thee. So this man say you'll be a byword and a proverb. So we need to examine what those two words is in this particular verse about being a byword and a proverb. The word for byword is shanan, and it's a sharp word or a taunt. So people will taunt you or they will mock you. This is what's going to happen. You drink that cup and you take that curse on, you will be mocked. And a lot of people don't tell people this and have people ready to accept this. And a lot of people don't want to accept this. A lot of people don't want to believe this. And then when we look at a proverb, it's mashal, and that's simply a byword or a similar to or a parable. Hence a simile. Now let's look at 2 Chronicles chapter 7. Man, this junk killing me. Golly.
The number you are dialing is outside of your plan and will incur a 1 cent per minute charge if you continue. You can hang up now to avoid the charge.
Welcome. There are 4 participants.
Alright, so let's swing over here to 2 Chronicles chapter 7. That junk just dropping like nobody's business. 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and about verse 19. He said, but if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will pluck them up by the roots out of my land, which I have given them, and this house which I have sanctified for my name, and I will cast out of my sight, and I will make it to be a proverb and a byword among all nations. And this house which is high shall be an astonishment to everyone that passed by it, so that he shall say, why have Yahuwah done this unto this land and unto this house? And it shall be answered, because they forsook Yahuwah Elohim of their fathers, which brought them forth out of the land of Mizraim, and lay hold on the other gods, and worshipped them, and served them. Therefore he hath brought all this evil upon them. Now he brought all this evil upon them because of their transgressions and sins. We know that this is really talking about Hamashiach being in the house and being destroyed. And all because he drunk this cup, it would cause him to be mocked and ridiculed and be an astonishment and a taunt. Because he's drunk up. Say, who is a strong man that has drunk up, scorning like Job? Mocking. Let's look at Jeremiah. Don't even worry about Jeremiah 49. Come over here to Hosea chapter 7. We get to 1 Corinthians 11 in a minute. Hosea 7 and 16. I might make about Hosea 7 and 13. We'll get to Jeremiah 49 in a minute. Most High willing. Hosea 7 and 11. Hosea 7 and 11. It says, Ephraim also is like a silly dove without heart. They call to Mizraim, they go to Assyria. When they shall go, I will spread my net upon them. I will bring them down as the fowls of the Shamahim. I will chastise them as the congregation have heard. Woe unto them, for they have fled from me, destruction unto them, because they have transgressed against me. Though I have redeemed them, yet they have spoken lies against me. And they have not cried unto me with their heart, when they howled upon their beds. They assemble themselves for corn and wine, and they rebel against me. And though I have bound and strengthened their arms, yet do they imagine mischief against me. They return, but not to the Most High. They are like a deceitful bow. Their princes shall fall by the sword, for the rage of their tongue. This shall be their derision in the land of Mizraim. So let's look at the first thing. He says that they're like a silly dove. When we look at that word for silly, it is patah, and it's to be open-minded, or to be naive, or to be enticed, or to be persuaded, or seduced, or gullible. And then it says they don't have a heart. So if they don't have a heart, what can we ascertain from this? Well, let's look at it in Matthew chapter 13. See, that's the one thing you don't want to be. Because remember what he told you in Proverbs chapter 1. How long will you simple ones love simplicity? It is not good to be naive and gullible because you can be easily deceived. And most people play and prey on that fact. Matthew chapter 13 and verse 15. He said, for this people, we'll make it verse 14. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. So because we are so naive and gullible and simple, and why are we so simple? Let's look at Romans chapter 7 and see why we so simple. Then we show that we don't have a heart, we don't have a mind, we don't have understanding. So therefore we can be easily deceived. That's why he said those who utter slander are a fool and a simpleton. And those who hearken unto the slander are just as stupid and just as simple. Romans chapter 7. And verse 7. He said, what shall we say then? Is the Torah sin? Elohim forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the Torah, for I had not known lust except the Torah had said, thou shalt not covet. But sin taking occasion, goodness grief.
The number you are dialing is outside of your plan and will incur a 1 cent per minute charge if you continue. You can hang up now to avoid the charge.
Welcome. There are 4 participants in the conference. Please announce yourself.
Well, that junk there aggravating. That junk there is aggravating. So, the thing which makes us gullible and being deceived. Matter of fact, 2 Corinthians 11 and 1 is a whole lot better for the point that I'm trying to make. 2 Corinthians 11 and 1 is a whole lot better. 11 and 3. When you naive, because remember he said that the parables are to make wise the simple. I remember we did something about that about a year plus ago. That the word is supposed to make you wise. That's why I say be harmless as doves, but wise as a serpent. Because when you are simple and you naive and you gullible and you go for anything, you go for whatever anybody tells you. 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. He said, but I fear lest by any means as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Mashiach. For if he that come preach another Yahushua whom we have not preached, or if ye receive another Ruach which you have not received, or another Basora which you have not accepted, you might bear well with him. I was finna read verse 6, but I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to leave that alone for the moment. He was able to get Eve because she was naive and she was simple and she was gullible. And he played to her desires. That's why Paul said, I would have not known thou shalt not covet lest I knew the Torah, because I was simple. I didn't have the knowledge of the word. Therefore, it is easy for me to be a silly dove. This is why he says in 1 Corinthians 15, some of you have not the knowledge of Elohim. I speak this to your shame. Because when you don't have it, when you don't know the word, then you're gullible and you're naive, and people can play on that. I know a lot of people feel like, oh, he tries to manipulate people with the word, the third. You can say what you want to say. If you call me trying to manipulate people to do right, then by all means, yes, I do so. I do not personally, am not trying to manipulate anyone to do anything that I want them to do. What I want you to do is save your soul. That's it. So if that is a negative thing, then so be it. Because at the end of the day, because manipulation is to persuade or cajole people to do what you want them to do. Paul stated in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, us knowing the terror of the master, therefore we persuade men. We're trying to persuade you to turn from your evil and wicked ways and serve the living Elohim who created Shamayim and the rats. We're just using the word of Elohim to get you there. It's different if someone is manipulating you with the word to cause you to do evil or to extract some type of monetary gain from you. You can't look at someone and say they're manipulating you with the word if they're not gaining anything from you. That's the stuff where if you know judgment, that you'll pick that up. When you look at most preachers, whether they Christian pastors or whether they Hebrew pastors, and people feel like they're manipulating people, what are they getting? Are they getting money? Are they getting esteem? Are they getting fame? Are they getting cars? Are they having sex with women? What are they gaining from the people that they're manipulating with the text? Because they have to be trying to, if you're manipulating someone, you're trying to extract something from them. What is being extracted? Because if nothing is being extracted, then no one is being manipulated for the cause of that individual. Who is going to manipulate somebody to get nothing from it? Just for control? Well, what are you controlling them for? Because if you're trying to control, you're trying to reap something from the control. You think someone wants control just to have control? You want control because you're trying to dictate something. The only thing those who preach the word are trying to dictate is you obey and follow the words of Yahuwah Elohim. That's it. Paul even stated, I caught you with guile. You know what I'm saying? I told you before. We don't use different avenues to hit people with the word. They didn't see that it was coming. But like I told you, I've been saying this here before, man. Like 50 were talking about, you can give a nigga the game, and a nigga think you trying to pull a fast one on him. Because people so used to people pulling a fast one on them, they just looking for it. They assume that's what you trying to do. And all it takes is a nigga to try to drop that in your thought process. A nigga trying to do this. He trying to get this. He trying to do this and get that. When the whole time that's what they doing. But our mind be so simple, you ain't even sitting back looking at why you ain't never said this in the open while the man was standing right there to defend himself. Because that's what our law say to do. Our law say, do we condemn a man without cause? But we don't want to do that. Nobody don't want to stand up and say, you making accusations against this man. Well, because just like the white folks say, you got a right to cross-examine your accusers. Our law say you got to, if you're going to bring witness against a man, you got to do that while he's standing right there. Because in case you bring in false witness, what you thought to do to your brother might be done unto you. You can't bring no witness against nobody, and that man is not standing right there to cross-examine what you talking about to defend himself. Our law don't operate like that. Niggas do it every day and hearken and listen to what a nigga say about somebody else that is an evil report, and no one will question it. When it's not openly brought to the individual on whom the evil report is being brought, meaning people are whispering in private. Matter of fact, let's see what I did. Psalm 64. I'm gonna just pull that real quick, like, because I just hit my head real quick. I think it's Psalm 64. Let me double check. Yeah, it's Psalm 64. Right there, here in about verse 1. He said, hear my voice, O Elohim, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly they do shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in the evil matter. They commune of lying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them in the heart is deep. But Elohim shall shoot at them with an arrow, and suddenly they shall be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. All men shall fear and shall declare the work of Elohim, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in Yahuwah and shall trust in him. All the upright in heart shall esteem. Basically, the man sat back and said, these people want to shoot secret slander at somebody and lie to him in private. Yahuwah going to take them out. He said they doing this in private. They're not bringing. He said insurrection is a rebellion. They rebelled against the Mashiach. Just like he mentioned in the parable in Matthew 21. They rebelled against the inheritor of the vineyard. And shot at him in secret. They wouldn't stand in the open and make these claims and proclamations and accusations the same way the scribes and the Pharisees didn't want to do it, because they knew those accusations hold no weight. Therefore, they couldn't dare stand before the people and make these accusations, because then they know that they ought to be stoned. You got to pay attention to that. Pay Pay attention to if somebody's saying this person is this, this, and this. They're evil. Well, why you ain't brought it out in the public like the law say to do? Why are you saying it in private amongst all? When you know the book saying John chapter 7, no man do anything in secret. So why are we making accusations against people in secret? That's what they did to the master. You just read it when it said they made a council to be able to kill the man. Then they did it again. And then they did it again. Got to pay attention. You got to really pay attention to what's going on. So let's come back over here to Hosea chapter 7. Let me finish this out. Let me knock out all my points I need to knock out this evening. I ain't even got to everything I wanted to hit for on the mocking because that's extensive. I probably have to try to interweave because I don't really want to. Y'all know that I don't really want to carry this particular topic in the next week. Nevertheless, so you definitely don't want to be no silly dove. So then when he says, when they shall go, he will spread a net. And that's of judgment. Or the word is resheth. And it's also leaders leading people to sin, or a trap for a man. And he will bring down and he will chastise them as the congregation have heard. Well, when you sit back and you look at the chastisement of the congregation hearing, the congregation had heard the word that Mashiach would suffer, yet they understood it not. Because that word there is Shema, and it is simply a report or a hearing. And he says, so when you hear that report or a hearing, and he said, I will chastise them as the congregation have heard, automatically Isaiah 53 should come in your head. Who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahuwah revealed? The chastisement of our shalom was upon him. Because if you simple and you gullible and you have no heart, then you are as a fool. And Mashiach was led to the stake as a fool. A silly dove as he was led. And now we're fools for Mashiach's sake. So as silly dove we led, because it's like we have no brain. So we could take this in many different directions, but I'm running short on time, so I don't really want to go too deep. I do got other things we got to hit. Oh, man. I don't want to carry this into... Well, you know what? Praise the Lamb. Because the Proverbs 24... it's really almost a one-hit quitter. So we can kind of carry this in the next week. And, yes, praise the Lamb. And mix both of them in the two. Especially dealing with Proverbs, verse 32 and the 24th chapter. Because really what I'm thinking ahead to is that parallel thing. Because I don't want nothing to kind of break that. It says, but woe unto them, for they have fled from me. Destruction unto them, they've transgressed against me. He said he redeemed them, yet they spoken lies against me. Now let's look at Luke chapter 1 and let's just sit back and see if they had done this, if they sunk the Redeemer and then they turned around and they lied on him. All because he drunk this cup. Deep in astonishment and sorrow. All of these things and trembling and fear. All of these things come with this cup. How can a nigga drink the cup of Elohim and ain't got the fear of Elohim in him? When the book say when you drink that, that's supposed to be in you. Oh yeah, Luke 1:67. It's 11. Give me about 20 more minutes, y'all. We'll probably be done. Just give me about 20 more minutes. Y'all willing? That's all about I need right there. About 20 more minutes. 1:67. And his father Zacharias was filled with the Ruach HaKadosh and prophesied, saying, Baruch be Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and have raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his Kadesh prophets, which have been since the world began. The congregation have heard it. They've heard it. The prophets have been 1 Peter chapter 1. The prophets have been prophesying this from the foundation of the world. They've been prophesying it. What I was grabbing y'all was Psalms 19, and I didn't mention it, but in Psalms 19, it tells you that the fear of Yahuwah is clean and endures forever. The fear of Yahuwah is clean and endures forever. Now, he told him to drink this cup with trembling, and we're going to add that on with that Jew, y'all willing, on tomorrow. But he said the fear of Yahuwah is clean. It's clean. It's clean. is pure. And remember, we talked about that on Wednesday. Who is going to stand in his Kadesh hill but him that have a clean hands? So you can't have clean hands if you don't have the fear of Yahuwah. How can you have clean hands? If he say the fear of Yahuwah is clean and it is everlasting and endures forever. He that endures to the end, the same shall be saved. The only way you're going to be able to endure to the end is because you fear. And we know it said the Mashiach was heard and because he feared. So that means his hands were clean and therefore he endured forever, because now we seek to have our bodies made like unto his esteemed body, that we can put off this vile body because he feared Elohim. This is why, and again, we can pertain that to Hamashiach. That's why he say, and some save with fear. Pulling people out of the fire. Hating having even the garment spotted by the flesh. Think about that. Why is the text saying that somebody saves people, delivers people through awesomeness, through terror of the living Elohim? And we think that we're not supposed to have that. How are we not supposed to have that? You're supposed to have the love and the fear, the love and the reverence, the love and respect. Because you can't love someone you don't respect. I don't believe that that is possible. I have never seen it. I have never seen anyone genuinely love truly from the heart someone they do not respect. You cannot. There's two things you got to have to love somebody. That is trust and respect. If you don't have those two things, you cannot love that person. You may have a strong infatuation, you may have a strong liking, but you don't love them. And you cannot love Yahuwah if you do not trust him and you do not respect him. It's impossible. So you know what our problem has gotten into? Is that we have taken the living Elohim and humanized him to the point that you look at him like he one of your little buddies. The same way what people have become friends with their children. And you're looking at this man like he's your buddy, he's your homeboy, and he gonna slap thighs with you. Therefore, you don't have that proper respect for your father as you're supposed to have. And I think for some of us, the reason why we don't have the proper respect of our father in Shamahim is because you didn't have your father in your house, or a male figure who demanded and required that you respected him in such a fashion, or if you did, he didn't conduct himself in a fashion that would cause you to remunerate that manner of respect, reverence, and subjection unto this man. Because if you go back to a different generation, those children feared their father. He had the utmost respect. And that is no longer present because everybody wants to be friends with their kids and they expect their parents to be friends with them. You know, there's nothing wrong when you get old and you say your mom is your best friend when you're grown. Your dad is your best friend when you're grown. Your daddy shouldn't be your best friend while you coming up, though. He told you that no chastisement for the present time seems joyous but grievous. He said our fathers after the flesh chastised us and we gave them respect. But yet we don't want to give that same honor and respect to Yahuwah Elohim by way of Yahushua HaMashiach when he busts you upside your head. Nevertheless, because I got to get to the market and well, I'll be able to complete that. No worries. No, I don't remember where I was going. Come over here to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. No, matter of fact, Revelation 13. And let's just sit back and look at somebody who was speaking lies against this man after he had redeemed the people. Because Mashiach done already did it. He said, you know, he sent somebody to redeem us. We know that at this point, what we finna read in Revelation 13 and 5, he has already redeemed us with his blood. And let's just sit back and look at how destruction will come up against them because he's redeemed them, yet they speaking lies from him. They fleeing from him. So destruction unto him because they transgressed against him. Listen to him. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in Shamahim. So then when we look at the people who follow in the beast, Yahushua has already redeemed us. Same thing as what we read in Luke chapter 11. It's the same thing. These two things parallel. These people done spoke against this man. He done redeemed them. And these people, and they telling lies on him. Because this man is telling people that he's Elohim. And that Yahushua is not real. And God knows what else he say out his mouth. Well, the scribes were saying this man is Beelzebub. And he's got a devil in him. And he's a blasphemer. And he's all these things. And he's redeemed them. Yet they lie on him. This is why he tell you when men call you evil and speak evil of you falsely for my name's sake, you got to understand that he has redeemed you, therefore they will lie on you. You got to be able to take that. So to understand that if you drink that cup and you become that curse, you become that astonishment. You become that byword. You become that proverb. They begin to mock you. They begin to ridicule you. They begin to speak evil of you and rejoice, for your name is written in Shamahim. And tell you no lie. Because this just was said to me the other day. Say, nigga coming at the two realest people that they know. This is who you coming at. Why are you doing this? What is your cause and purpose for you doing this? Why did they come after the prophets? Why did they come after Yahushua? Why are they going to come after the Kadeshim? For the authenticity of who they are and what they stand for. And they magnify that in their words and in their deeds and ruach and in truth. They magnifying this. So therefore niggas is finding anything that they can say against them to cause people to have a negative view of the righteousness that they exhibit and the life that they live. Because that's all they were trying to do with Yahushua. You must understand that if you gonna drink, I be telling y'all this regularly, you sipping that cup every 14th day of the first month, every year, that comes around in memorial of him, is more to it than you just supping on some wine. Understand what you're doing and what comes along with it. It's not a ritual. Pay attention. He say, they have not cried unto me with their heart when they bowed their heads. They assemble themselves for corn and wine, and they rebel against me. They assemble themselves. Guess what? Judas sat right down there for that corn and wine and rebelled against him. Sat right down and did it. That's why he said they have bound and strengthened their arms and imagined mischief against him. When we look at bound, that is your car, and it says they chasten or discipline or instruction or to teach. So he say though he taught them, and he strengthened them, and that word is kazak, so they could prevail or to be strong or to be firm, they thought evil against him. Let's look at John chapter 18 and let's look at what the master said. Let's sit back and see if the master ever taught in these people's streets and yet they imagined evil against him to kill him. Because they imagine Ra, the mischief word for Ra, that's evil. And we've already been mentioning how they got the council together to kill him. All because he's a strong man. And that word for imagine is to think or to plan, is kasab. To devise or to mean or to account or to reckon or to purpose. And we know that a heart that runs after evil imaginations is a abomination. John 18 and 25. 18 and 19 actually. The high priest then asked Yahushua of his disciples and of his doctrine. Yahushua answered to him, I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple whither the Yahudim already resort, and in secret have I said nothing. Why asked thou me? Ask them which heard me what I have said unto them. Behold, they know what I said. And in another place the master said in Matthew, he said, I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple. That's why he said the congregation have heard. He had already told them he was going to be chastised and he was going to be killed. The congregation heard what was going to happen to him. And they fulfilled the book in their condemning of him. Because all of them put their hands together for a false report and to be an unrighteous witness. To promote slander and to whisper because this man was strong and they were not. So a strong-hated man drunk up the wrath of Elohim and took the scorn, drunk up the wrath of Elohim or the scorning like violence. Because this is what I was mentioning about You come over here to Matthew 11 about what I was talking about mentioning John. This is what I was referring to. Matthew 11 and 11. You know, I say some stuff people know about. Some people, man, people say all type of things about me, man. I can't really concern myself with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm secure in who I am and what I do, and if it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? People gonna say what they gonna say. Most of the time, it's just I just don't like what you did or what you said or how you handled this. It really be you offended. It not even necessarily be a sin. You just offended, and instead of sitting back looking at trying to handle the offense, you just would rather slander someone instead of being a man or a woman and just saying, hey man, this hurt my feelings, or I'm offended by this. How can we come together to come to a meeting of the minds to resolve the matter? It's not hard. It's been done. Because niggas really don't offend me. I see niggas, you know what I'm saying? Because ain't nobody done nothing really to me to offend me. And if they do, I'll let you know about it. Because I'm not easily offended, for one. So many things that people may think that I may be offended about, I'm not offended about because I'm not easily offended. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that sensitive. My skin is a little thicker than that. So I'm not easily offended. Truly I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there have not risen a greater than Yachanan the Immerser. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of Shamahim is greater than he. And from the days of Yachanan the Immerser until now, the kingdom of Shamahim suffer violence, and the violent take it by force. So understand that those who are of Elohim suffer violence. I asked for 1 Peter chapter 1. Let's get that. The people who are of the kingdom of Shamahim suffer violence, and those who are violent seek to take the kingdom by force. And y'all willing, we're going to see that when we begin to look at the parallels of Yasharal and Yehuda in the split, because you will see a lot of those kings and a lot of the people try to take the kingdom by force. See, when Yah translated the kingdom from Saul to David, David did not take the kingdom by force. It was given to him of Yahuwah. The same way that Yahushua did not seek to take the kingdom by force. It was given to him by Yahuwah. But those who are natural men, who Yahuwah has not given anything, they seek to take it by force. Pay attention. And look at what you read and understand. When it's of man, they seek to take it by force. And those who are of Elohim usually get trampled upon in some shape, form, or fashion. And you're going to see that, y'all willing, when we get to dealing with that split. That once he gave the kingdom to Jeroboam, after that men tried to take the kingdom by force from those who Yah had given it to. God, pay attention. You know what I'm saying? And you'll see that. And then it'll be easier for you to recognize behaviors of those who are of Elohim and those who are not. Because you'll know the text. I have to reiterate this. Do not get caught up in just, we can point out Mashiach in the text. Do not get caught up in you feel like you're learning something that other people do not get to learn or you've never heard before. Don't get caught up in none of that, because that could end up being a snare and a trap for you. Don't get caught up in none of that. Instead, get caught up in learning and knowing your Elohim and what pleases him, what displeases him, which will make you sanctified, which will make you unsanctified, which will make you clean, that which will make you unclean, that which will encourage your faith, and that which will cause you to be able to discern between the righteous and the wicked. That's what you need to be concerned with. Because when you're concerned with the proper things, your soul will be saved. If you are concerned with the wrong things, your soul will be damned. And ultimately, that will be your responsibility, and you will have to bear the culpability for that. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 7. Make it 6. Wherein you greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, you were in heaviness through manifold temptations, that the trial of your faith, being more precious than of gold that perish, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and esteem at the appearing of Yahushua HaMashiach. Know that this is the trial of your faith, to go through these things. Because remember, he said they returned, but not to the Most High. The people thought they were returning to Yah by killing Hamashiach. So that deceitful bow, their princes, fell by the sword of the rage of their tongue. And this is what's going to be their ridicule when they're in Misraim or in bondage or in that lake of fire. Because they sat to take their mouths, just like we read in Psalm 64. They sought to take their mouths and use them for lies. So therefore, those same lies, that same sword and arrow that they used to take Yahushua down, just like he said in John 16, they'll kill you and think they did Elohim service. That same tongue that they're going to use to take you down is going to be the same thing to take them down. And then you'll be given white robes and palms, just like those men who were seen under the altar in Revelation, who he told to rest now for a little season, till the rest of your brethren be killed like as you are. You have to understand that. You have to be able to reconcile that in your mind. That's why he say, are you able to drink from the cup that he drank from? Are you able? Will you tremble upon drinking it? Are you able to become an astonishment and a byword in the proverb? Let's look at Matthew 26 where they mocking him. Y'all willing we'll carry the rest of this in the Shabbat to tie it in with the other matter. If not, I can carry it in the next Wednesday. Y'all willing? I carried it in the Wednesday. So we can get a full, complete understanding of what we're looking at, because it's a lot. Because I really, really want to delve into the mocking and the ridicule in very, very great detail. But I might skip that till Wednesday, most high willing, because that part we're saving with fear. I really need for y'all to understand that. And we do have a matter in Exodus 33 as well. That may get put on ice till we complete all the things that we have already set. Or y'all willing, we able to work it in. Matthew chapter 27 and verse 41 or verse 39. He said, and they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, saying, thou that destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the son of Elohim, come down from the stake. Likewise also the chief priests mocking him with the scribes and elders said, he saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the Malach of Yasharal, let him come down from the stake and we will believe him. He trusted in Elohim, let him deliver him now if he will have him. For he said, I am the son of Elohim. They went so far in mocking this man to say, you in trouble? Call on Elohim. You trust in God? Why he ain't came to save you? See, and I'm saying that for you to understand this here. Let's say you're in a bad situation or circumstance. And the whole time before you got in this bad situation or circumstance, you always talked about your trust for Yah, your belief in Yah, your hope in Yah. Now you're in a bad position. You're in a low state. Whatever that state might be. Whatever matter, tribulation, trouble, distress, nakedness, hunger, peril, whatever it is that you're in. And this is how people look at you. He trusting in God. Where he at? Where he at? He ain't came to save him. He say he a servant of Yah. He say he's the son of Elohim. Where is God at? Some of you have been mocked in this fashion. This was people what's going to do. You got to understand that if you're going to be a strong, hated individual, if you're going to be a man like Job, because Yahushua was a strong, valiant man, hated like Job. And I didn't even get the Job friend slandering him. But I got to grab Job's friend slandering him before we get up out of here. At least 2 witnesses. Say you'll drink up scorning like water. You're going to drink the cup of the wrath of Elohim. And you're going to take that mocking and that scorning and that ridicule. And understand that that violence is going to come after that. Because that's the purpose of them doing it. And violence came to Mashiach after that. Because he lost his life. Only to pick it back up again. That we might have life. Let's look at something that Job friends did. Let's look at a little bit of their slander before we let you slide out of here. It's 11:32. And then we'll finish in the First Corinthians 11. And y'all will pick it up on tomorrow. Let's look at his friends slandering him, false accusing him. Which one do we want to use first? Let's use Job 22:1. This is his friend Eliphaz, the Temanite, answered and said, can a man be profitable unto Elohim, as he that is wise may be profitable unto himself? Is it any pleasure to the Almighty that thou art righteous, or is it gain to him that thou make thy ways perfect? Will he reprove thee for fear of thee? Will he enter with thee into judgment? Is not thy wickedness great, and thy iniquities infinite? For thou hast taken a pledge from thy brother for naught, and stripped the naked of their clothing. Now this man just sat back and said he took a pledge from his brother for nothing and took a naked man's clothes. What evidence did he have of this slander to accuse this man of this? All he was looking at was what he was going through. And he said, if you was of God, clearly you did something wrong. And I want y'all to know that is Exodus 22:26 that he's accusing him of. That if thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge, thou shalt deliver it to him by the sun that go unto him, by that the sun go down. For that is his covering only, it is his raiment for his skin. Wherein shall he sleep? And it shall come to pass when he cry unto me, that I will hear, for I am favorable. So he's accused this man of committing a sin with no evidence. Look what else he accused him of. Thou hast not given water to the weary to drink. Thou hast withholden bread from the hungry. Let's look in Isaiah 58 and let's look at what he accused him of here. This is pure outrage. He's bringing an evil report on this man without cause. Isaiah 58 and 7. Make it 6. He says, is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, that you break every yoke? Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou see the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thy own flesh. Well, guess what? That's in the law. The poor is always with you. And in the book, you come back to Job 22. The law instructs us to look out for the poor. The law instructs us to do these things. Solomon tells us that if you lend unto the poor, you lend unto your maker. And he's telling this man, when somebody was thirsty, you didn't give him nothing to drink. When the people were thirsty in the wilderness, Yah gave them water to drink out the rock. When the people were hungry in the wilderness, he gave them bread to eat, for our manna coming from Shamahim. And then he sent down his son to give you Ruach in his flesh. So how are we going to turn around and not do the same? If a man be hungry, we ought to feed him. If a man be thirsty, we ought to give him drink. That's what we were looking at in 2 Corinthians chapter 8 last week. We ought to know those things which are acceptable and good and think upon those things. And that our liberality expounds unto many, that many thanks were down under Elohim. And he's saying this man ain't did this with no evidence. He has no evidence of what this man did, and he outright accused him of being unmerciful. He outright accused him of being unmerciful. Let's look at another accusation. Let's look at another accusation. Let's look at Zophar's in Job 20. Let's look at him. Let's look at him accuse Job. 20:1. Then answered Zophar the Naamathite and said, therefore do my thoughts cause me to answer, and for this I make haste. I've heard the check of my reproach, and the ruach of my understanding calls me to answer. Know that thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumph of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? This man just came up off the rip and called Job a hypocrite, and told him that he was rejoicing in wickedness before everything that he began to suffer. This is what they did. This is what he did to him. Among other things, because we're running short on time, of other things that they said about this man. Let's swing over here to another spot, though. Which one do I want to use? We'll look at Zophar again in Job 11 and look at what he said. Listen how they come for him. 11:1. Then answered Zophar the Naamathite and said, should not the multitude of words be answered? Should a man full of talk be justified? Should thy lies make men hold their shalom? And when thou mock, shall no man make thee ashamed? For thou hast said, my doctrine is pure, and I'm clean in thine eyes. But oh, that Elohim would speak and open his lips against thee, and that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is. Know therefore that Elohim exact thee less than thy iniquity deserve. Then he told Job, if iniquity be in his hand, put it far from him. He had nothing to base this upon. Let's look at Job 42. Yeah, we probably going to have to sling Job in there behind with the 4 things we already got set. Work that in there. Job 42 and 7. And it was so that after Yahuwah had spoken these words unto Job, Yahuwah said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee and against thy 2 friends, for you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job have. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, and that which you have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. Why did they not speak the thing that they was right? And he said folly meaning foolishness, because they uttered slander. And he that utters slander is a fool. That is what they did. They uttered slander and they were a fool. And through their lying lips, they manifested their hatred that they had for him. Goodness grief.
The number you are dialing is outside of your plan and will incur a 1 cent per minute charge if you continue. You can hang up now to avoid the charge.
Welcome. There are 4 participants in the conference. Please announce yourself.
Come over to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. We stop it right there, man. So what we should have been able to ascertain is this. That those who utter slander were truly foolish. All of them committed sin and transgression, and Yahuwah was not pleased with any of them. Also, we notice that through their lying, they manifested the hatred that they actually had for Job, for Hamashiach, and for you. Because they will lie on you. Matter of fact, let's look at Luke 6. I know I done referenced it several times, and then we look at 1 Corinthians 11. And understand that all this comes with drinking the cup, which will bring the fear, which will bring the trembling, the sorrow, the astonishment, the byword, the proverb, the mocking, the derision, and all of these things. All of these things. Luke 6 and 23. 22 actually. He said, Baruch are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice ye in that day, and leap for joy. Behold, your reward is great in Shamahim. For in like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. Casting your name out as evil. You just seen where they casted Job's name out as evil. We seen how they casted out Hamashiach's name as evil. And let's look at 2 Corinthians chapter 12 actually. Just dealing with being that strong man that is hated, and to drink up that scorn. And know you need to take that cup. And it's a lot of other things y'all will not get to it on tomorrow. If I have to put, because I want to do the Save with Fear in person and a little longer, and not save that for no Wednesday. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. And he said unto me, my favor is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather esteem in my infirmities, that the power of Mashiach may rest upon me. Therefore I take pleasures in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses, for Mashiach's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Think about that. He said he take pleasure. Remember I mentioned that Hebrews 12, the joy that was set before him. Take pleasure in it. It may not seem pleasurable to you at the moment. Take pleasure in those. He said reproaches, dishonors, the mockings, the revilings, the derisions, the scorning. Take pleasure in it. Because that means you're showing forth this man's death till he comes. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. 11 and 21. 1 Corinthians 11 and 21. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 11 and 21. For in eating everyone take before other his own supper, and one is hungry and another is drunken. What, have you not houses to eat and to drink in? Or despise ye the house of Elohim? And shame them that have not. What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not. For I have received of the master that which I also delivered unto you, that the master Yahushua, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, Take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup, and when he had supped, saying, This is the cup of the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as oft as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the master's death till he come. Wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the master unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the master. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eat and drink unworthily, eat and drink damnation to himself, not discerning the master's body. So when you drink in that cup, you have discerned that sorrow and derision and ridicule and mocking and slander all come with that cup. And that though people will hide their hatred and their lying lips, and they will utter that slander to show themselves to be a fool. And you have to know that and understand that when you drink it. But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. We will stop right there. I hope everybody understands.